Flying down the alley.
You knew that smash? No.
Six o'clock, I'll call meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice. You have our roll.
Yes.
We move directly to approving evening's agenda.
Motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Also, second by. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. All items on the consent agenda will be passed in one council motion unless you need to remove something for further discussion.
I'd like to remove N as in Nancy and W.
Anyone else? Ron, would you make a motion then to pass the consent agenda minus N and W?
Yes, I move we pass tonight's consent agenda except for N as in Nancy and W. One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Ron?
I had a question on the DMV office income statement. Just curious, it looks like for October, our profit jumped way down to 227 and the expenses kind of doubled. Is there a story with that or?
Yes, there is. The biggest comment I can make is that on our expenses, Ron, we have been coding the lease to our Marco printer predominantly to the administration fund this year, omitting the DMV's section. Additionally, at the beginning of 24, we agreed to adjust payroll from the deputy clerk more into the DMV's department. Percentage wise, that got overlooked and I caught it in September. So there's a substantial difference in the amount of wages that were getting moved into the administration fund operating budget versus the DMV's operating budget. So unfortunately, October actually looks really what it should be. So there's gonna be, at the end of the year, there's gonna be an overage and admin and a shortage in DMV because of that. But in terms of sales, no, it was an average October. It's just, when I went through all the budgeting, I caught that.
So do you think October was like a one-time correction, or do you think it's gonna be that low every month?
In terms of net?
Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna be a one-time connect. It's much like the liquor store. It's like an off-season month. Not as much traffic as like a May or a September. I think it's gonna start picking up in November and December as we get more DNV traffic, DNR traffic. Very little DNR traffic in October.
Flights they have now.
Well, it's just, it's an off season, you know. Anybody that is renewing an ATV just bought it. Anybody that's renewing a sled, they don't really have to until January. So they're gonna put it off because they're not gonna be using it. So yeah, there's a dip in sales for that.
Understandable.
Yeah, but predominantly, I would say, it would be the expense portion, Ron, that I can comment on, is that I caught the mistake, so I made the correction.
But it was like for a retroactive amount as well?
It was not,
Oh, it's
no,
not. That was just the current months.
it was just, yeah, plus, we use that printer an exorbitant amount for the DMV.
Mhm.
So I'm juggling with a percentage of shared use between the two budgets,
Mhm.
mine and the DMV. And it's been off all year, so it's just, and now it's catching up, so it looks like it's spiked.
Mhm.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then W was the price quote for the non-superfluous refuse.
correct.
And I didn't have a question as much about what's on here as what's not. How are we handling trash at the locations that are not on this quote? Meaning City Hall and the Public Works Building?
So predominantly in the summer months, the trash that comes out of this location or the Public Works goes over to Country Park.
Oh.
Off season, you can go over to the liquor store.
In other words, our folks transported over there?
Yep,
Okay.
it's minimal between the three offices,
Mhm.
so
So it's actually included in there, it's just not. allowed.
it would be, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Done with that?
So I'll make a motion that we now approve items N and O.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is fully passed. Anyone for the Blackduck Forum? Hearing none, Christina. I guess we'll go right to Shonda, not used to doing it that way.
Yeah. We did have a, really very decent, October. We finished several $1,000s over last year in just gross sales. We're looking forward to November, hopefully our deer season. I mean, we rely on that quite a bit. Doesn't rain, stays cool. You know, we will be closed on Thanksgiving, but open, the day after. if we could just pray that it gets colder, 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 colder. That would be great. To whomever you, ears to whomever. If we had walk on ice. We had walk on ice on red. Day after Thanksgiving. Be completely ideal. Last year, our fourth quarter was really soft. You know, and then first quarter of this year, soft because we had no ice and then no snow or no. So. You guys can figure out how to get together and make that happen for me. Got any questions with anything? No, Lori's been in to sample some stuff.
I had a request actually, if, because I'm one of those people that likes those graphs. We did a few of those for us. Could you, for the next, like, or even just for the work session, have those? Like, you know, what the sales are, in
What would you-
comparison, and then
What would you like to see compared to last year, by month by month?
it wouldn't have to be, you could just go by year, it is fine, Shonda. I'm just curious as to see where the, you know, if the. You know, the liquor store, the off sale, your on sale, and food sales.
How far back do you want her to go?
Your income statement has it 4 years back.
But the, I guess you could go back to
Dude, it's,
20.
yeah, and I mean, if you specifically wanna just see. What, I mean, like, what do you wanna see? I mean, I'm kinda getting that you're like. So what's been trending, 2020, after 2020,
Yeah, don't even,
right? So you're thinking 21, 22, 23 this year.
Yeah.
And the way things have been trending, obviously, actually in our off sale, our liquor and our beer sales are slow, like pretty much flat to last year. Obviously last year we didn't have THC products, those are filling in some of that.
that's one of those things that I'm curious about too, is where they end up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can probably work something up. You know, and if you have. You can swing by and, I'll have to swing by
That'd be
and
fine,
you have to say like, this is kind of what I'm looking for or not what I'm looking for.
be great.
Okay.
Just let me know.
I can do that, I can.
Anything else for Shonda for the pond? Black Friday, are you guys doing anything that way?
Us.
Yeah.
Um,
Just out of curiosity, I don't know if they.
we don't really, usually we're so busy in normal climate years. That the Friday after, because people. Use that 4-day weekend to
Sure.
come up and fish. So they've done the family thing. Now, their buddies in there, and everybody's heading north.
When do you start to grapple? Or are you doing that?
We haven't been able to get that started back up again.
Okay.
The fire relief is super busy and, yeah, and then, I mean, when they start selling to the resorts or the pull tabs up to the resorts, then they don't have time to. It's not a big money maker for them. And lots of paperwork. As the state loves.
Anything else for the liquor store? Thank you, Shonda. Sending some folks, huh?
Yeah, the chief wanted to attend tonight, but it looks like that is not gonna happen, so, I've extended the invitation to the work session, so we can have a deeper conversation. Then.
Okay. And anything from Mike, he didn't want any updates or give us anything?
Nope.
Okay. Then on to you.
The first thing I have is, resolution establishing the meeting schedule for 2025 meeting approval.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-14, resolution establishing meeting schedule for 2025. Let's get it done.
Second.
It's a schedule.
So, subject to change.
I did look at the dates. Come on, it's a little iffy.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're stuck with it.
The next item I need action on is a resolution I drafted, per the request of the state auditor. The fire, forms were sent by the relief to, the state auditors at the end of October. If you recall, in 23, your assistant fire chief and relief, president came to the council requesting an increase, on the fire pension for the next 3 years, 20, yep. That resolution was submitted in 23 to the state auditor with the fire forms that was accepted, and also submitted with the, this year's fire forms. And the state auditor requested that it be reestablished or reauthorized every year, instead of subsequently authorizing 3 years ahead of each. So I had to draft a new resolution authorizing what you previously did in 23, just isolating 2025. They've accepted 2024's, but this one will approve the 25 that was, like I said, already authorized. They want an individual one.
Okay.
Yeah.
To approve resolution 2024-17, resolution authorizing the increase to the annual retirement pension. Blackduck Fire Relief.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
The next item I need approval on is the contract services between the city of Blackduck and CLA Auditing for independent auditing services. I provided a statement of work audit services and a master services agreement. Side note, Max, that I will forward you an email that has a link in it for you to authorize it electronically. Besides the paper form tonight after the meeting is adjourned. That's how they do their business. So one of them would be the acceptance of the audit services, and then the next one would be basically a statement blanketing their service for the future. So I need, you can put them together in one form.
One motion.
In one motion. Since last meeting, one of the concerns that was brought up at the liquor store was on-site inventory auditing services to be included. At the last meeting, I had noted to Melissa that that wouldn't happen. I have since been corrected, extended that information to liquor management. They will be present as required.
Is that a mileage thing? then
It is
for that?
not, it's included in the scope of work that was budgeted, that was
Okay.
provided in the quote for services.
Oh, so no mileage, no
Not for that, no,
lodging or anything?
no, that's included in the scope of services. Yeah, I confirmed that before I asked John that for a January New Year's Day or day after day of service, so they can plan ahead.
Lori, you
Yeah,
make that motion?
motion, to approve audit services and agreement
Second.
for, yeah. CLA auditing.
and Nick seconds, so. Any further discussion on the auditors? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
The next thing I have up for discussion and consideration are the special operating fund budgets for cemetery, country park, water, wastewater, or both. I included the revenue and the operating budgets for all those departments in the budget. I can note that the golf board has already met and gave approval to the golf courses operating budget. I don't see any major issues with everything that we did, but there has to be a discussion tonight about water and wastewater volume rates for those budgets. So I don't know, do you guys want me to go through each of these individually? Did you have enough time to?
You can go through the, I'm good with just going through the wastewater.
The water.
Right,
wastewater
for the water
one?
ones, yeah.
I noted that, you know, in the consent agenda that the increase in the proposed increase. Excuse me.
The proposed increase was in the consent agenda? I guess my biggest concern is, whoopsie. Is not necessarily wastewater, but water. The expense budgets the last year have, you know, we had a closing of a big facility that got built. When I projected where we would be for water rates 3 years ago and we started the facility, I thought we'd be fine through 25. But our water budget, operating budget, the cash flows that are coming in are not really covering the expenses at this point. And I'm concerned that the cash balance of that department's gonna get too low to handle anything that we're future going through. We've been able to continue to depreciate every year for, you know, what the state wants us to do in this department, but this is a really good snapshot of what the debt is going to look like for the next, you know, 10 years is left on the water tower and 39 for the facility, minus 5 more years for the equipment portion of the facility. So there's going to be a decent amount of the debt coming out of the water budget. And Mike and I are holding his operating as close to years as possible without growing that. The only thing that's been growing is either the debt or payroll or insurance. And if you've been following the fund balance report that I provide every month to you on each department, you can see that significantly the water department's fund balance has been trending fairly low. And I have concerns that we won't be able to make the depreciation we try to budget for every year if we not make a water volume increase in 25. So I ran the numbers through the Minnesota Rural Water this is the one I'm on. Yeah. Rate study. And before I get down to this section here where it comes out where they think our water rate should be, I want to point out this percentage of unaccounted for water number in this calculation. So the water usage number, gallons sold last year, that's off of 23. And then, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's 23's total volume that we've sold from our utility billing. And then the one below that is what's pumped and what we report to the state. That 963,000 negative, that's that 4% of unaccounted for water, which can be anything from flushing hydrants to not billing somebody. What you may not know is 2 years ago, that number was 8%. So,
That's what I would think.
so it has dropped considerably. But, when I projected where our water rates needed to be 3.5 years ago, we thought we'd be fine with the 0.00, well, the 68 cents a gallon. So we kept it that way now since 22, 21. We're gonna have to increase that because we're not making enough yet. So it's been 3 years. We haven't made any movements on anything. Water is the only one that I'm concerned about. Sewer is doing just fine. Dramatic, mostly because we paired water rates or water and wastewater volumes the same 3 years ago. So if you look at a rate study for sewer, it expects us to be at 58 cents a gallon for 5.5. And we're above that. So we're doing just fine on the sewer. But the sewer budget doesn't have as much operating and as much debt as sewer does. So the short story is Mike and I are gonna recommend that we increase water rates in 25. We're thinking, I think we were thinking 9.09. I'm glad you popped in. You're good for my memory. Questions?
Was the facility you said we lost several years ago? You opened your talk, you said something, we had a big user that was closed or something?
No. I may have misspoke. I did a 5-year projection on water and wastewater rates when we were looking at building the facility, the public works facility, because we knew that a large portion of the debt would come from water and wastewater. And we needed to know that our water rates, our base rates and our volume rates would be enough to cover that debt for that portion. That department that was gonna cover a portion of it. But we didn't have anything closed that lost us volume. You may have confused that with the unaccounted for water percentage I was speaking of. Otherwise, we believe that Country Park is gonna come back just fine. We've done some cutbacks on operating next year that we're going to try to close up projects in 24. So we've reduced our operating budget for Country Park next year. Cemetery, we're gonna hold it as close to 24 as possible, and same with the liquor store.
So the last significant increase has been. What, 3 years?
For our water rates,
Yes.
I wanna say we did it in 20. I thought it was in 20.
I thought it was 20. We approved it in 20 to start in 21. And that was that last rate.
So
And before
a
that,
little bit every,
well, and that's what we knew is that we were gonna It wasn't gonna be a one and then nothing for 20, 30 years like it had been. Right.
That's the ouch.
Right. That's where we're slowly trying to bring it up without a huge hit.
I think the base rates are in a good place. I think our volume just needs to go up a little more. And as we start working on some other things in town, repairs, that type of thing, that unaccounted for water is gonna go down again.
Yeah, we're working towards getting that shored up. Put meters on our own buildings, we can, we need to do a better job of tracking that water. Even right down to what the fire department's using, whether they're training or
Sure.
on an event. It does affect, my department's bottom line and how much unaccounted water we have.
You talked with Brian about that, Mike?
A little bit in passing, at some point, him and I'll sit down and, it's hard when they get a call and stuff. I mean, the last thing they need to be worried about is how much water they're using.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
gotta have it.
right, so. The biggest thing that we can do is kind of, how many tanks did you have to fill? How many tankers ran that night? We can get close at least, something like that.
But right now, you can get a gallon of water for less than a buck.
You can get a gallon of water for less than what you can buy a bottle of water at the
Right.
store for.
So volume rates are still really low.
I know we're well below what
We'll get there eventually, we just,
comparable.
we don't wanna make it hurt on the way to where we need it,
Questions?
Talked about that when we first started, that we're
Yep.
gonna slowly bring it up.
Mhm.
You're not obviously gonna stop for 10 years and then do a big chunk again like we
right?
have.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'll work on narrowing that, that increase per gallon down. You'll still have to approve the fees and charges for 25. At that point, it'll get approved and our residents or users won't see that increase until February for January's usage. So I've got another month to implement it and get the word out to the public. So at the November meeting, I'll narrow that volume rate down for you guys. But for tonight, if you don't have any other questions about the other fund budgets for 25, I'm just asking for approval on those, please.
Cemetery, Mike, is that? I know that runs.
Lean,
We're right at zeros,
Yeah, we're real thin there.
but, I know there's talk in the past of redoing things and.
Yeah,
It's still on the,
it's still on my radar, what we talked about in the past was updating the vault that's out there, that one is far exceeded its lifespan to the point of, the funeral homes taking individuals to Bemidji instead of Blackduck for the vault. So we know that we need to do something there. We've discussed it a little bit. I'm not gonna say I have a full-on plan for the building, but just briefly to touch it, be in the southwest corner of the cemetery out there. Slightly larger footprint than what it is now, but not much. What I'd really like to see is that area where it is now turned into our veterans memorial at the cemetery is what I think we had all discussed, and
I think it's a great idea.
I know we had looked into the coffer a little bit, and I think it's doable. It's gonna make us tight out there because, we all know the cemetery, like I said, runs very, very thinly. But it's something that we're either gonna have to decide to do and just go after it and get it done, or it's just gonna slowly get to the point where I can't keep that building standing anymore. So, I guess I kind of defer back to you guys on when you want to go after that project, I guess.
And I would like to add that another future thing that I'll need to work on for the cemetery, we spoke about it last fall about migrating to a better inventory and record keeping system. I will let the city know that I've been doing a full audit of every single grave in the cemetery, every deed since June. My office has come across 3 incidences now that have happened in the last 8 to 10 years where grave sites have been sold to 2 different people. And it's an extremely uncomfortable, a very awkward, and a very heartbreaking conversation that I have to have. And the only answer I can tell the public is something happened either with my server while the files are being saved, where something got lost. And that grave got sold to another person again. The integrity of those, of that, record is really important. It's permanent. And I gotta have it right. Right now, I'm kind of at a loss on how I'm going to resolve this. I still have 4 more blocks in the cemetery to audit. And make sure the records are right. Before I find a solution, but I may have to pull the files that I have on my server off there and save it independently because of the errors that have come through in the last 4 months.
So you're 100% on with that it's gotta be accurate and one and done.
You have updated records, so we're still working on the GIS.
I'm updating them as I go right now. I'm just going block by block.
Yeah, good stuff.
Fixing things every block I audit. So I'm through section V right now. No, excuse me. I think I'm up to T. I have like U, V, and W left.
All right, so we need to approve,
Special fund operating budgets for the golf course, liquor revenue, Pine Tree Park, cemetery.
Yes, for 2025.
For 2025, a motion to approve those.
any further discussion on the budget? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None carried. Take a look at the water ones.
Remember.
The last,
Work session.
the work session. I'll bring the volume rate to the work session.
There's that thing that you talked
Yeah,
about.
I know. Time travel is real.
Yeah. Back in October. Work session, November works.
Moving on.
Yes.
Okay. So the last thing I am going to request action on tonight, and it may or may not need to be tabled, but I've had some additional conversation with our partners at Beltrami Electric. I've got a better picture of what the red G or red L program is through USDA that Beltrami Electric is hoping to gain. And it might be easiest if I just start over from the beginning for you guys. As you know, I've been trying to find the right funding to do the repairs on City Hall. Beltrami Electric wishes to get a revolving loan fund. And they have 2 options at which the money that they can get from USDA for. You just have to think about it as we are the ultimate recipients of the money, will be the borrower. They are actually the ones that are going to be administering the loan to the city. But they have to apply for the program to USDA in order for their RLF program to start. They can get a grant of a maximum of $300,000 to start a revolving loan fund. Beltrami Electric would be required to provide 20% or 60,000 into the revolving loan fund in addition to the 300,000 of a grant. This would be the mechanism of what the city would get money for City Hall. Our project is roughly $460,000. Okay. That leaves Beltrami Electric about $100,000 short of what we totally need. Now, there's two options. One, the city asks from Beltrami Electric for all 460,000 as a loan from them. And we don't put up anything. In Beltrami Electric's position, what'll end up happening is 300,000 of that would be a grant to Beltrami Electric from USDA. The remainder would be a loan from them to them from USDA. Okay, ultimately, all money being passed on to the city as loan. Okay, no grant. City has no grant. The grant is only in the position of Beltrami Electric. If the city wishes to put up any money towards the project, they may. It is not required. It makes the project application to USDA from Beltrami Electric score higher if the city may or can move into the application. But there's no nailed down percentage requirement that we've been talking about. The reason I'm bringing this to you is that the city needs to decide how much, if any, they want to put into as cash into the project. So that the application can score high enough. And so that Beltrami Electric needs to know if they need to apply for the loan and the grant to USDA to ultimately start the revolving loan fund. I get you?
No, I think I followed that.
Don?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. So ultimately, in our seats, the 460 would all be loaned. Okay. If the city wishes to put cash towards it, then let's say we're putting in 100 grand, then we'd only be loaning 360 from Beltrami Electric. But they need to know if and what we're going to put in so they know how to make their application to USDA. That's the pivot point I'm at right now. So I've drafted a resolution from a sample that the city of Walker did when they were working with another utility through this same program. Language is there. It states that, you know, we'll put money into this. That ultimately is the city's decision if they wish to. The first discussion about putting that money into it was borrowing it from our unrestricted revolving loan fund that the city has. The city could pay that back at a later date as well. I cleared it with Todd Hagan. The language in the resolution is supported by statute. Questions?
Would there be a revolving loan fund committee meeting before?
No, because they're the ones that are creating it. Oh, you mean in terms of if we take the 100? If the city wishes to have one, yeah. But the longer we take, the slower it takes us to get the app in. But we're not looking at probably getting this done until Q1 of 25 anyway. So I guess my small answer to you would probably be yes, it would be recommended.
Okay, and then the unrestricted, I get that part, but I just wanna make sure that everybody's that we got those eyes.
The only reason it is now considered an unrestricted is because the city of Blackduck's restricted RLF fund that was created back in '96 has already been repaid back.
Has, and we don't currently, do we currently have any other projects out there right now with the?
In the restricted fund, we still have choice therapies. Loan that sunsets in 27. And that is a 0% finance, so we're not getting any accounts receivable on that, no interest on that one. The other two that we have two for Sherry Linder through Flowers in the Attic. And one through Bogart's repair and recovery, and those were both made out of the unrestricted. And again, I want to explain the difference is the restricted was created when the city started their revolving loan fund. So any of that money that came in from interest from those notes had to remain in that fund. Since 19, I want to say 19 or 20, the city has been given permission to pay back a percentage to the state out of that restricted and move the remainder or a balance
Yeah,
into an unrestricted.
We did that.
Right, so that money is still derived and controlled by a revolving loan fund for business and commercial development. However, it's not restricted in terms of the USDA's hands. We should still do some type of an agreement or resolution if the city chooses to take money out of the unrestricted fund to complete this or to put money into the project. Much like they've done for the cart shed and the rough mower for the golf course. That would be the other two that came out of the unrestricted maps. Yeah. We're still paying it back.
Yep.
We set up the parameters for it. That's why I don't know what's the right answer here, because ultimately we're gonna be paying Beltrami Electric for a 0% financing for 10 years on part of this loan. But if there's a section that goes outside the grant that they get, that could have a finance rate on it. And we don't know what that's gonna be yet, because they haven't gotten the money or established it themselves.
So if it comes back like a wacky 25%, we can always go, oh,
Right now,
no, we don't want to do.
yeah,
this.
right now, the conversations I've had with them is it wouldn't exceed prime. Last time I checked prime was when we did the hard shed, and it was like 4.75. That was a long time ago. And depending on how long it takes USDA to look at this project application from Beltrami Electric will also depend on how long it takes us to get funding for the project too. So there's a lot of things that are moving at the same time, but not getting an end result.
So in this motion, is it including this 100,000 here in the from unrestricted funds? Is that all of this one motion? Okay,
That's the way I drafted it, Lori.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Please.
So Terry Electric's getting a grant
to start the revolt.
So, and then, also there, and then we're getting.
And then they loan it to
Loan
us.
it, okay, they're
Yep.
loaning it to us.
We would be considered the ultimate recipient or the borrower.
So
They're the intermediary.
we don't know the interest rate.
So that was my question as well. So all of the monies we're getting through Beltrami Electric are a loan.
Mhm.
None of them are a grant.
No,
They're the ones getting a grant.
correct.
We have to repay everything.
Correct. Yep. When I started having this conversation with you guys, I didn't know what that grant loan mechanism was. This is more clear to me now.
I thought we.
We did.
I thought at
Yep.
the beginning, we thought we were gonna get a grant.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm understanding it a lot more now. Yep. And it's really hard because, us as an entity already have a revolving loan fund. But if we're gonna be a recipient of one instead, it's just a little kooky. But yeah. If you guys need to table this and discuss it more at the work session, please let me know. I just need to let Beltrami Electric know because their board of directors is meeting on the 18th to consider what they're gonna do to approve their side of it. And they need, the staff that are working on the application need this from us as guidance. Keep in mind that this is just in resolution format. This doesn't hold us to a bonding of anything at this point. Because we don't even know if Beltrami Electric will get the
Right,
money,
it's a resolution to apply.
right? Right, with the understanding that we would do something in this line.
We have
that's
some
in here.
skin in the game on it as well, yeah.
Yes,
So I'd feel much better if there wasn't an amount on that.
but they need it,
But I mean,
they need
for our
it,
resolution,
I know. But they need to know how much we're gonna put in. If it's 0, it needs to say it's 0.
okay,
If it's 50, if it's 10, they need to know how much, because they need to know if they have to go back and apply for the red loan part of the
Part of it.
program.
Cause they're only getting.
Correct.
Well, regardless of what we put in, it's all coming from our coffers. You
Ab-
clarified it's not a
Right.
grant we're getting.
You're right.
100% correct.
Right.
If we put in 100,000, we're paying the balance between that and the loan.
Mhm.
So we're paying 100% of this project,
Correct.
regardless of what we put in upfront.
Well,
We're paying
Or
that
at the
full
back end.
over 10 years. yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Does anyone want to make a
I'll make a
motion to?
Yeah, motion to approve 2024-18 resolution providing authorization to apply for funding through BEC.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I did put up to 800,000 in there.
Everybody's a little skittish.
I know I am too. But
The
this
motion-
is
motion
our,
passes.
this is our best option at getting funding for this building.
We need to get funding for this building.
Yes, we do.
To prevent the city hall happening to it, what happened to the old city hall. Wrecking. That starts with the roofs.
Moving on.
Please tell us all about what tomorrow is.
Tomorrow is election day.
Oh, is it?
Tomorrow is election day.
I didn't know.
You hadn't known, polls will be open at 7 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. If you haven't had an opportunity to vote early, you vote in person. If you are not in the Blackduck precinct, you can vote, I think, up until I know it's 5, it could be 8 p.m. tomorrow night in the administration building in Bemidji if you're in a mail-in ballot precinct. I've had numerous people that don't know they don't vote here in the last week.
And you will have more tomorrow.
I will have a lot more tomorrow. I've done my best in the last 2 weeks that when somebody calls, am I registered? Where do I vote, to actually look it up instead of wait until tomorrow, because last presidential election, I had so many people that thought they voted here and then they couldn't, and they weren't gonna go down to Bemidji to vote, and they were furious. So I'm trying to resolve those issues for our community, not
Yes.
just our precinct. And hopefully it'll be good.
And
I hope the other precincts are doing similar.
Well, we're not staffed, no one else knows.
And I correct in thinking that everybody who lives within the city limits of Blackduck votes here.
That's correct.
So as long as you're in that border, if you're 2 feet outside the border, you vote somewhere else.
That's correct. Yep. You can go to the Minnesota Secretary of State's website. There is a link in there that says, where do I vote? You plug in your address, it'll tell you what precinct to vote. If you are a mail-in ballot precinct, it will also tell you that, and it'll tell you at this point in time in the calendar that you have to go to the county in order to vote in person. So, I encourage everybody to find that out, but you'd be surprised how many people. I've got people coming out of the woodwork that says they've never voted before and they're coming to vote tomorrow.
So there could be 400 people there. 300.
How many, just out of curiosity, what's the best year?
Oh, the 2020 presidential election. Out of the 11 years I worked for the city, that was the biggest voter turnout this precinct has had. I think we had 445 ballots cast that year,
In person or?
combination,
Okay.
and it was close to 50 same day registrations. So thinking about that for tomorrow. Veterans Day is on not November 7th, November 11th. Got that one screwed up. I don't know why I had the 7th on there. It must have been last year's date. It's a week from tonight, today.
But that's all right.
So the offices are closed, and then the 12th, which is Tuesday, will be the canvassing board meeting. So I have notice to post regarding that. The 18th would be our work session. On November 28th is Thanksgiving holiday, so the city office is closed, as well as the 29th. And then the next regular and last meeting of the year is December 9th. That will also be the same date as the truth and taxation public hearing.
There'd be no need for a work session in December.
I have not done one typically, and I won't be
It's kind
around.
of a little
So,
Christmas present.
Happy
for-
vacation, you'll all get paid in December, and enjoy your Christmas. Or Hanukkah, or your New Year's, however
However you decide. to
you want to celebrate
Yeah.
the end of the year. Yep. Does anybody have any questions about the election?
Good, gravy, no.
Does anybody have any more questions about the sales tax?
No.
I had a lot of people ask me about that.
Okay.
Explain it.
Okay, I've spoken to your neighbors.
They've come over twice now.
Yep, yep.
They still,
They need to see it in writing.
they,
Some people do, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I've taken a couple.
Don't download the sample ballot.
yep, so you can do that. Yep, right off the Secretary of State's website.
No, I already do it. I fill in all my circles at
fine.
home, so that way I just have to copy them when I come here.
Perfect. Yep.
No nobody has any questions, I have to perform my usual function of mentioning something that's not on the coming attractions, but I believe we have another excellent, Veterans Day program at the school on
Yes.
Tuesday, November 12th. There's been nothing about the Blackduck American for the last 3 weeks. And yet 2 weeks ago, there was a listing of the LU Veterans Day. In our most recent Blackduck American, I went through it, I thought,
I could be losing them.
buried it. But I know 3 weeks ago, there was an article on the Legion, and the commander said he was looking for color guard members for the November 12th Veterans Day program at the school.
Oh,
When I go on the Lakeland area schools website and click on Independent School District 32 calendar, there is an entry on November 12th at 7 p.m. that says Veterans Day program. Is it in there?
Nope.
you are right.
So that made me a little, so check the paper on Saturday, but I mean. The website's correct, there'll be something. In the past, it's been excellent. They've had the band, the concert and the chorus.
I saw it on their social media page today. That's where I saw it. The
The
schools.
schools, is that what, Facebook group?
Yeah, where they wrong.
I don't have Facer and I don't have Twitbook.
You mean Napster?
Oh, jeez.
I have a MySpace account.
Oh. No.
Yeah, well, treated well.
I get a text message about it on my flip phone, I'll believe it's happening.
All right.
The trunk or treat that, put on down at the Wayside Rest and over at the Catholic Church. I know for a fact that there was over 500 kids that came through, because we went through 400 for sure, then it went into reserve candy. And I know that there was another couple 72-piece bags gone through there also. So I mean, it was a really popular event. Everybody enjoyed it. It was good. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to mention, stuff coming up? Mike, did you want to give us a little rundown or any updates since you weren't here for, you weren't even on the agenda?
No, I don't want to go over anything. The only update that I will give you though is, the 12th and 13th is when we'll be having that main lift station. The elbows reconditioned in there, so.
Okay.
Just to give you a heads up on that. Other than that, if you've been by Pine Tree Park at all, you can see that we extended the culvert out there and redid the slope and widened out the approach to get in the park, and we're almost done with that new road we've put in out there. Other than that, we've been picking away at a lot of smaller stuff lately.
All the rest of all of our Wayside Rest got all locked up. But
Yep.
we're
Yep,
done for the year. And
The day after Halloween, we winterized that. The park's closed, the golf course, obviously, all that stuff got blown out and winterized and everything. We're in our switching gears time right now, getting ready for.
snow plows are all ready to go.
Nope, not yet. No. Mid-November, we don't talk about stuff like that.
All right.
So, getting there, we're getting there though.
Then. Don,
Make a motion to adjourn?
thank you, sir. Lori, you second?
I did.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yep, we're all out. Thank you, everyone.